Last September 2021, I started talking to you about the inevitable crash of the real estate market in China and how that would bring down the whole Chinese market. And since then, I've done about 4 other videos on the subject. And now I've seen some better presenters than me do some videos explaining in more detail as to why the Chinese economy has collapsed. I would include Andre Jacques, the Whiteboard, Cascanis Academy, and here are their videos, and then Graham Steffens. They've all done some wonderful videos on why the Chinese economy is going to collapse, and you need to see this, because what I want to do in this video is share with you how you can make some tax-free millions of dollars off of this collapse of the Chinese economy that is inevitable.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
I want to reiterate that this is not financial advice. I don't want you to take it as financial advice. This is a financial opportunity, and I'm going to take advantage of it. And I want you to understand how I'm going to take advantage of it. But I want you to be fully educated. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to Andre's, to Whiteboard's, to Cascane's, and to Graham's videos in my description, because I want you to go and watch their videos so that you understand totally what's going on. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to do some reading. I'm going to ask you, the first book I want you to read is The End of the World, Just the Beginning, because in here Peter Zeon's going to explain to you why he thinks China is going to collapse in 5 years and they're going to starve to death over there. And he's never going to really mention their real estate crisis, because he believes there are other reasons: their demographics, their lack of food, their lack of oil, the deglobalization of the world, that we aren't going to be reliant on China for their goods and services that they've provided in the past, because we are bringing that manufacturing back to our shores through the use of robotics and 3D printing. So he is of the opinion that China will implode for other reasons within the next 5 years. Now, I want you to have a free copy of this book, and I can get it to you if you will go to the link, another link that I'm going to put in the description, to go to Audible. If you aren't using Audible, this is Amazon's reading books to you, which I use because I'm dyslexic. And the first book that you get, if you are not a member of Audible now, will be a free book. And I'm suggesting you get this as your free book. The End of the World is Just Beginning, and he will give you all the reasons why, for demographics, for lack of food, for lack of energy, why they are going down. So with that in mind, that's the first thing, 2 things you need to do. Watch the videos, then read the book. Then what I want you to do is understand why I am going to be willing to take a substantial risk. I'm going to short. Yes, I'm going to short China. I've found an ETF that will give me the opportunity to 3x short China. Now, what does that mean? That means for every dollar I put in, I will get $3 of exposure. Well, that's wonderful if it's going up. But if it's going down, my money can disappear very, very fast. But I want you to understand why I'm willing to take that risk. Number one is Peter Zeon's book. I also was aware of his prior book, and that was The Accidental Superpower. That is in a list of books I think you should read further down in the description. I spent a month in China back in about 1999. So I am very familiar with what they're doing. I marveled at the fact that they were building cities to house people, to work in factories, to produce the goods that we wanted. Everything from our socks to our shoes to our semiconductors. They built this community. They built their country, and they did it basically since roughly 2000. And what they did, just like everybody else, they overbuilt, because now that we are deglobalizing, now that we are pulling back on our dependence on China, they don't need all those factories. They don't need all those people. Then when you add to that their demographic and their food and their energy problems, I am convinced this is going to implode. Other reasons why I believe. I've studied the Chinese economy. As I said, through Peter Zion's book, then I've gone to numerous websites and read and studied the Chinese economy. I suggest you go to usdebtclock.org and push the button on world economies, and it will show you how China's debt is structured. In essence, you're going to see that China does not have a lot of debt outside of the country. And that is because they have so much money coming in as we buy everything we need from them. And the other reason is that nobody wants their yuan. It's not a tradable currency. So they're sitting on a lot of their debt, but not debt held by other countries. So the other countries don't have a vested interest in China's economy. Once they stop buying, they don't care anymore. And that is going to contribute to China's demise. I also have studied their financial markets, and I recognize that they have devalued and printed money within the country, within their banking system, to prop up this unrealistic real estate system. So when the people, as they are, stop paying their mortgages as they are, China will have to print more money to bail out the banks. Now, what you also need to recognize is that J.P. Morgan and BlackRock and Bank of America all have a major presence in China. China turned to them and offered them and said, hey, would you like to participate in this extraordinary growth that we're having here over the last 20 years? And they have bellied in. So that puts them in jeopardy as well. And you need to recognize that in your portfolio. This is going to go down, and it's going to ripple across the pond. The Pacific, the problems in China will become problems in the United States. You also need to recognize this if you own any stocks in China companies. This is going, if the real estate market collapses, so is Alibaba, so is Tesla, so is NIO. They're all going to come down, and you need to recognize that. Now, that would mean you get out of those companies, but then you won't make any money. So how do you do it? You short China. When I say short China, why do I say that? Because I understand what happened in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010 here in the United States, and why Michael Berry, read The Big Short, watch the movie The Big Short, why he made so much money for his investors, because he was shorting the vehicles that they were using, the collateralized loans that they were using to finance the unrealistic real estate market in the United States. And again, I understand that. So I understand then, if I understand what happened in the United States in 2009 and 10, I understand what's happening in China in 2022 and 2023. So I understand that. Thus, I'm willing to take the risk. Now, how am I going to short China's economy? I have gone and found some ETFs that will do that for me. Let me show that to you. Okay, this is a list of the ETFs that short the Chinese market. They call it inverse, meaning that it will move in the opposite direction of the Chinese market. I'm betting that the Chinese market is going to go down because of the real estate crisis, so I want an inverse ETF. And what you'll see here is they're giving me four choices. What I focus on, number one, is this one, CHAD, is a 1x. So for every dollar I invest, I get $1 invested. On the other hand, Yang here is a 3x. So I multiply my effect by 3 times. I also increase my risk by 3 times. In other words, if I'm wrong and this goes in the wrong direction, my money's going to disappear fast. Okay? Then you have the the Pro Shares FXP and the Pro Shares YXI. The next thing I look for is this, average volume. I want volume. Because when I want to get out, I want to get out. Okay, so I don't want to deal with a ETF that only has 19,000 shares trading per day. I want this high volume. I also want, because I believe in it, I want that 3x. I'm willing to risk this money. How big could this be? I say easily a 100x. If you'll look at this chart I'm about to show you, I'm telling you it could be a 115,000x. That's right. A dollar could turn into $115,000. Let me show you why I believe that's possible. This is my chart on Yang. Again, it's a 3x leveraged ETF, and this is the year to date. And you can see there's substantial movement. It's trading currently at $16.62. In March of 22, it was as high as 48. So it's come down substantially. But what I want to show you is I want to go to this all. This is a look at it since it became public, became available. And it became available in 2010. And I want you to see what it was trading for in 2010. $6,647 a share. It's now trading at $16.62. Well, I want to ask you, what happened in 2010? What happened to make this worth, what is that? I can't even do the math. How many X times? What made it worth $6,700 per share? It was the subprime crisis. This was the end of the subprime crisis. This is when Lehman Brothers, just prior to this, collapsed. This is when everybody realized that the real estate markets were screwed up, that the banking system was screwed up. Now we're looking at a real estate market that is twice the size of that of the U.S. market. What is this going to go to? I'm willing to take the risk. How about you? You've got my take on it. You've got other YouTubers' takes on it. You've got Peter Zion's take on it. You've seen now the potential. I hope you understand the risk. The other thing I want you to understand is how you can really cash in on this. Let's say you take this investment and you make it $6,000 or $7,000, depending upon your age, and you put it in a Roth IRA. And let's say that you put that $6,000 in, and as I'm predicting, or as I believe, it does 100x. Your $6,000 will turn into $600,000. If it achieves a 1,000x, and I see it could be as high as a 115,000x, that turns into money that is crazy. You do the math. But you need to understand the risk. Why am I willing to take that risk? Well, the reality is I'm using somebody else's money. I'm using what my children and my grandchildren will inherit. But I'm going to put it in a Roth IRA. Why do I want to do that? Let's say that because I'm over, I believe it's 59 and a half. I know I'm over 59 and a half. I can put 7,000 into a Roth IRA. Between Nita and I can put 14,000. Let's say that does do a 100X. That turns into, what is that? If then I sell it, I got to pay capital gains. If it's in a IRA, I got to pay. Well, if it happens quickly, I'll actually have to pay ordinary income tax because it will be a short-term gain. But if it's in a Roth IRA, I don't owe any taxes. I don't owe, if my $14,000 goes to a $1,400,000, I will owe no capital gains and I will owe no ordinary income taxes on it. And if I die with it and my heirs end up with it at $1.4 million, they owe no taxes on it, okay? Other than possibly some estate taxes. This is important. What if you're over, you don't have any ordinary income because you can only invest in an Roth IRA ordinary income that you received as ordinary income. Well, I don't know this for a fact because I'm not a CPA, but when you take a distribution from your traditional IRA or 401k, it is treated like ordinary income. If it's treated like ordinary income, that makes me believe it can then go into a Roth IRA. So you don't have ordinary income. You're not working, but you do have an IRA, and you can take a distribution of $7,000. You're over 59 and a half. You put it into an IRA, into a Roth IRA. What I believe will happen happens, and that 7,000 turns into 70,000. You owe no taxes on it. Check that out with your CPA. He's the guy who's going to have to sign your tax return. Now, I have ordinary income, so I know it will work for me. Okay? This is enormous. This is life-changing for people, for you. So I want you to do something for me. I'm going to put the link to this video in the description. And I want you to share that link with everybody you love. I want you to put it on your Facebook page. I want you to put it on your LinkedIn page. If you're on Reddit, share it with all your people on Reddit. And let's make this thing go viral. Let's take a bad situation. What's that bad situation? That bad situation is the demise of the Chinese economy, and turn it into a life-changing situation for everybody you love and some people you don't love. But let's make this science, if you will, that I've just explained to you, available to anybody and everybody. Again, watch The Big Short. Go on Amazon and rent it for $3.99 and watch it 2, 3, 4 times because you can watch it as much as you want in 24 hours. And understand it. And think about what if you had known what Michael Berry knew, or what if your parents had known what Michael Berry knew, and they got I believe it was in there, they got something like a 114x off of their investment. What if your parents had known that and done that? How would your life be different? This is an earth-shaking opportunity. Now, the other thing that I want you to be aware of, you're going to have to watch this closely, and you're going to have to stay on top of it. And that might be beyond your capability. So I'm going to ask you to join our community, our tribe, where every Friday, we go on a Zoom call, and just like this Friday, this is what we talked about. And we will talk about this every day. And how do you get everyday input? You, again, come to our Discord. You pay $10 a month, and you get into the channel, the thread, the chat about this. And when you see something happening, you ask questions. and answers come back. And you can change your life. That's what I believe. I believe this is life-changing. I've done everything that I can. Again, join the Discord, join our community, learn about this, get into it detail, watch the videos of the other YouTube presenters, and get your free copy of this book and read it and understand it and say, this is a no-brainer. And oh, by the way, why don't you subscribe to the channel? I'll talk to you again tomorrow. I believe as you gain knowledge, you gain power. This is one of the most important books I've read in my lifetime. The End of the World is Just the Beginning, and it's by Peter Zion. I felt it was so important that I have sought out and found through Audible, you can get a free copy of this book if you'll take their 30-day trial or if you'll sign up for their program, which I highly recommend because it will force you to read a book every month. This is my gift to you. If you're not a member already, become a member and get your free copy. The End of the World is Just the Beginning by Peter Zion. Again, the link is in the description.